Hello, you wonderful people. As you know, which hopefully you know, iZombie is coming back for its 5th and final season. So I decided I wanted to do a thoughts and theories about some of the stuff I think I'd like to see, or at least I think we could possibly see heading into the final season. Obviously, a lot of this is based around what we saw in season 4. So obviously, if you have not caught up the show, haven't seen any of season 4, do not watch this. If you haven't finished season 4, don't watch this because I will be going into spoilers. For me, one of the big questions going into the final season, and it's a question I've kind of brought up before too, is when it's all said and done in the show, will Liv walk away cured or not? Season 4 presented her with the opportunity to get cured, but she didn't take it for multiple reasons. Obviously, there's the whole Dale situation. She wanted to do something nice for them because her turning human at this point in time, like, she's always wanted to be human. It's nothing. She's never steered away from that goal. But at the same time, it's a situation where she would just be running away from her problem, which is a serious problem. I mean, she lost another person that she loves. Like, her love life is just kind of like all over the place. It's just always terrible stuff happening. Once again, Lo, Drake, now Levon. It's just kind of, you know, she just feels like the people she draws in always get hurt, you know, and that she just got so tired of it. But that's the big question I've always wondered, is like, will Liv get cured at the end of this? And I honestly don't know. Obviously, she wants to get cured, but her being a zombie, she's done a lot of good, and Liv wants to help people, and I'm curious to see whether that's going to outweigh her need to be you. I mean, obviously, like, she wasn't selfish in this instance when it came to Clive and Dale, but, you know, still when it comes down to it, also the whole being renegade situation too. Like, being renegade, it helps to do that while you're a zombie. I mean, I guess the argument could be made she could still do it when she's human, but I think as a zombie, because it seems like they're setting Liv up to be kind of like what Angus was trying to be in season 4. It seems like that might be the direction they're taking Liv. Liv might be kind of like, I guess the argument could be like the ambassador to zombies, or, you know, at the very least, she's trying to get like zombies and humans to kind of coexist. That's kind of her major overall plan. That's what she feels like she has to do as renegade. Will it eventually get to the point where she's like, no, everything's kind of handled, everything's good, they don't need me as renegade anymore, it's time for me to retire altogether? But because the thing is, like I said, she does a lot of good as a zombie because she is working with the police, and she is a zombie. She's able to eat people's brains and solve crime. So I'm very interested to see where Liv's story ends up in the final season. Like I said, I don't know. Like, legitimately, they could go either way with the show. I get the feeling when it's all said and done, she will be cured, but I wouldn't be surprised if they decided not to ever cure her, that she does decide to stay a zombie. Because this is something I brought up when I talked about the season finale too. It's a whole cure situation. I mean, because obviously, like, Isabel's situation was like a 1 in a million. I don't know if they'll ever find another Isabel situation able to mass produce that or not. But there's also the angle of the cures that Blaine ended up stealing. The fact of the matter is, we have not seen the cures subsequently since he killed Baracus. That's the last time we saw the cures in season 4. So my wonder is, does he still have them, or the fact is, did he already sell them off? The reason why we haven't seen hide nor hair of him subsequently since, because he set up that whole thing like bidding war. So I guess people did buy the cures from him. I mean, because he did buy up all those properties. I mean, obviously, which kind of screwed him over, like, you know, when it's all said and done with the finale and stuff like that. But still, I guess that's just my biggest assumption about that. So will that kind of pop up like a more mass produced, because it is that situation of, like, obviously zombieism is much bigger. Like, is it going to just stay in Seattle? Is it going to grow, become a worldwide thing? I mean, the more people that try to sneak into Seattle, which is going to become more of an okay thing now with, like, Fillmore Graves being in the situation that it's in. So I'm curious to see, like, where that's going to stand with all of this going forward. Another thing I am curious about too is the whole Mr. Ball situation. It's something I've talked about in season 4. What's the whole, like, oh yeah, it was Payton who took the money that he was trying to get back. They never found out who took it. I mean, the money's long gone by now, but obviously, like, I'm curious to see whether or not that's gonna circle, because Mr. Boss has had his paths crossed with Payton before, just because of the whole, like, oh, she was important to Blaine situation. So that's why he kind of came after her, like, in season 2, the whole, like, oh, her being rescued in season 2's finale by Blaine and Robbie, more so Blaine, but still. So I'm curious, is he going to make an appearance or not? Because he only popped up in season 4 for like a little bit. And the whole him and Blaine's partnership, especially where Blaine's situation is going into next season, like, will that, I mean, I'm sure Blaine could, like, use Mr. Boss's help, because Mr. Boss is the crime boss that he is, so he has connections that would help Blaine do what he's been, that new job he's been given by Fillmore Graves to help, like, bring in like new brains and stuff like that from the outside, kind of smuggling them in. So, and I'm sure Mr. Boss would want an opportunity to jump at that, but I'm curious, is it going to come back, the whole Peyton being the one to steal his money, and will he still go after her nonetheless because it's like, no, that's my money, you screwed me over, so I'm going to come after you, which might cause problems between him and Mr. Ball. Because that's something I'm also curious about too when it comes to Blaine, since we are talking about him. Where will he stand in the final season? Obviously, Blaine has always been a scumbag, but when it comes down to it, Blaine has actually shown that he can actually care about people. Definitely surprised me with the whole dad situation. Yes, he was like manipulating his dad, but there was a part of him that's like, no, like things between me and my dad are actually good. Like, I actually care about you for the first time. I've hated you for so long. So obviously the situation played out the way it did, kind of leaves him a little mixed feelings. But obviously even Peyton, like, even though he lied to her the entire time, like, it's because he legitimately cared for Peyton and thought he wanted to get a start over, but a redo. But then again, it's like, you're a scumbag, you're kind of always going to be a scumbag type of thing. Just you try and change, you should just try and change and not just like pretend. I mean, I guess for him it's like he tried and it didn't work out. The moment everyone found, when the truth came out, like, oh yeah, I was lying, I never had memory loss. So there's that, and you prevented other people from taking a cure because that meant they could have taken a cure at any point in time, but they were so worried about the whole memory loss situation that they were reluctant to take the cure. So there's that. So I'm curious to see, I mean, going forward into season 5, the final season, he is going to be more of kind of a hero to a certain degree, because even Major setting it up like, oh man, you could be a hero. They'll be able to build statues and stuff of you. Oh my God, businesses will be named after you because he's going to be smuggling in brains and stuff like that. So he's going to be kind of that hero situation. But to be fair, like, Major's going to him, he even says himself, it's like, you guys are scummy people. I know you can get the job done. That's why this is the perfect job for you guys. I want you to basically do what you're already doing. Just do it. Be the heroes of Seattle to do it, you know? And Major's just using them. If anything happens to him, it's like, oh, well, Blaine, Donnie, and his whole operation, well, who cares what happens? I mean, they're just kind of acceptable laws, this type of thing. So I'm curious to see whether Blaine will go full good guy or not in the second, in the next season or not, or just stay middle ground, still stay borderline villain, essentially. Something else I brought up in a podcast I kind of want to elaborate more on too is the fact is I feel in my heart Angus is alive, like that whole, like, because they pulled away when the shots were fired. Once again, Lambert was there. He's a big fan, so obviously there's no, yeah, he's gonna put on a spectacle like all these other followers have to die, but there's no way, because he became such a huge fan, would he let Angus die. Now, to be fair, maybe he didn't have much of a choice because there were so many eyes watching, but I feel like he had command over that situation. So, like I said, we didn't see Angus die. Like, Blaine is upset by it and everything. It's definitely going to be interesting if he is, because, especially because Blaine is working with Fillmore Graves. He already pissed at his son because it's like, oh, you're a liar, you're a manipulator, you're a coward. Like, those are Angus's literal final words to Blaine. So finding out now he's also working with Fillmore Graves, the traitors, the ones who are trying to control this whole zombie situation. Like, it might be a situation of like, they might butt heads. And that's a big thing for me. I'm wondering, when it's all said and done, will Blaine walk away from this series alive? I don't know. It might end up in a situation where both him and Angus are dead. Like I said, it might be that situation where, hell, even Major might put a bullet in his head. Because let's not forget all the terrible, 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 terrible things that Blaine has done, especially to people that Major cared about. There was a dude in the first season, the Major's initial job, which is kind of crazy when you actually think about where Major started at. Started as kind of like that youth counselor to where he is now running a huge private military zombie corporation, essentially, which is kind of crazy to think about that. That kid, I'm sure that's always been in the back of Major's mind. He's probably wanted Blaine dead for ever since like the beginning of the series. Well, not the beginning of the series, but the first season at the very least. So I'm curious to see, like, I think when given the opportunity, Major might take him down just because it's like, you're a bad guy. You really thought we were going to just let you be? Might be Blaine's fate at the end of the series. I don't know. Maybe, because it's like karma, comes back, you always get what you deserve type of thing. So maybe that's what's going to happen to Blaine. Hell, who knows? Maybe he may walk away, crime boss, like that might be where his story ends up. You never know. It might leave off on a cliffhanger. I have no idea. It's going to be interesting to see how Blaine's story does ultimately play out. Hell, for all we know, he might end up dying and Donnie becomes the new dude. I feel like, or Donnie might even end up betraying him to run things. I don't know, like, he's always been kind of second fiddle to Blaine, and I think he's okay with that, potentially. I mean, well, no, he had his opportunity to kind of go full on run things, and it didn't work out for him, so I think he's kind of okay with, like, Blaine kind of taking over full operations and stuff like that. Like I said, we'll have to wait and see. One thing I'm also curious about going into this final season is Robbie's situation. The whole like, oh yeah, once a month you turn into a zombie thing. Like, is that going to be a permanent thing? Like, something I brought up during the podcast when I was reviewing season 4 as well. It's like, well, is that going to be something that eventually mutates into something else, or is it just going to stay that way permanently, where it's just like once a month? Will he find the cure for that? Like I said, I'm curious to see like what they end up doing with Robbie with that. Like I said, it's not something that impacts his life too much. Like once a month, he goes a little zombie and craves brain, but other than that, it's just not that big of a deal. I'm also curious to see what we get to see any more of him kind of taking over the Liv role, especially if she's going to be full on renegade a lot of times. I'm sure she's going to balance, you know, being renegade and being a cop. I mean, because she can be renegade more out in the open. So I'm curious to also see how that kind of plays out, like the story progression going forward, bringing the city together, solving cases and stuff like that, because she's kind of a household name in Seattle. She's kind of like a celebrity folk hero. So I was like, whoa, you're Liv Moore, you're renegade. It's going to be probably that type of thing going forward. Who knows? But I'm curious to see what we see Robbie kind of playing more into it, because season 4 kind of gave him that chance where it's like we saw him and Clyde working on a case together. I mean, obviously Robbie's story could be heavily tied to the whole cure situation too. So, and then kind of along those same lines is Peyton's story too, because, and I think this is something I talked a little bit about, but I'm not 100% sure, like where they're going to stand with the whole mayor situation. Because initially it's like, oh, they're probably going to have like a new, election for a new mayor and stuff like that. But then I was like, maybe Peyton might stay acting mayor, because I don't know if anyone's jumping to take over the mayorship, and especially under the situation it's like you have the city divided between humans and zombies. Like when Baracus got elected, that was before everything went to crap anyway, but he kind of just took, went with the punches with that situation. But I think Peyton would take that job, especially if it meant helping out, Liv as renegade. So I think she would do that just to help out the greater cause, especially because she would want to bring this city together. I mean, them being who they are, Liv being renegade, her potentially being the acting mayor, if not full-on mayor if she decides to go down that route. Also having a boyfriend who turns into a zombie like once a month, like that kind of puts them in the centerfold of this whole situation, that group. Especially also thinking about the fact that you have Major being the head of Fillmore Gray, so it puts this group of 4 at the centerfold of everything. They could be the ones that kind of bridge the gap between everything, because they are a great example of like different backgrounds and situations, but here we are nonetheless, And that is a big thing too, is the human zombie relationships next season. And like obviously things were very heated this season, but obviously a lot more people have rallied together to be like, no, zombies. Like, I mean, obviously it's not everyone in the city, but it's a good chunk of people that showed out at the very end supporting Liv and everything that she's doing. The moment people found out Liv was about to be executed, so many people came to help out. So it's not like it's that, out of left field. So, but like I said, it's not the entire city. Because also interesting, an element that played in season 4 that I feel like didn't play too much, and I'm curious to see if that plays a bigger element next season, is the dead enders. Like this being a group of people being super against like zombies and stuff like that. It popped up here and there. It played a role in season 4, but they weren't like the main antagonist, because it was more like a symptom of just like the world that they were living in this new reality. So I don't know if it's going to become a bigger thing, whether we have like bigger anti-zombie stuff going forward, especially when they're trying to bridge a gap, trying to bring zombie and humans that live together, coexist type of thing. I don't know if we'll see something like it. I'm curious. It'd be interesting if they did kind of go full on dead enders being main antagonists potentially next season. I'd be curious to see who would be the main antagonist, because no one's really set up at this point. Like Chase arguably he was the misguided antagonist of the season, because he tried to do the right thing, but obviously he just went about things a terrible way. Another thing I'm curious about too is like, because we saw Peyton's family this season, we've never met Robbie's parents, have we? I don't think we have. I mean, we might have, but it's something I brought up when I was talking about season 3 like a while back, was like before season 3 came out, like potentially something we could have seen is stuff about Liv's family, which that storyline has been dropped since like the beginning of season 2. Like I said, it was probably like in most people's eyes, it might have been like the weakest thing. I'm curious to see where her family would stand with all of this. Like I guess they're not important enough to the overarching story for it to matter. So it might not be big enough of a deal for it to be necessary for them to come back into the story or anyone's parents. But it'd be kind of, I don't know, I'm interested to see where that could possibly turn into like a little one-off thing too. I'm also thinking about it too, like this could be an opportunity to kind of do like a time skip type of situation as well. Like we don't have to directly pick up where season 4 left off. Like I'm curious, like we're going to get like probably like a jump cut into like maybe a couple months have passed. Like usually I feel like that's not every season. Like season 2 to 3 was like immediately afterward. I don't remember if they did like a soft like time cut like after picking up immediately later on, like, oh yeah, and it's been a couple days later. I don't remember if they did that or not between when season 3 started. 1 and 2 were pretty back to back. 3 and 4, I'm trying to think. It's 3 and 4 were like, seems like months had passed between 3 and 4, so I'm curious to see what they end up doing with 5, whether he's gonna pick up immediately, or we kind of like, nah, just like 4, like we situated some stuff over the past couple months, stuff has happened, and kind of get you caught up with the way things are now. So we'll ultimately see. My question to you guys is, what are some things that you want to see in the final season, or you think we might see in the final season? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. Like I said, the situation is something I've talked about. Like, it leaves me a little happy and sad. For one, I'm always happy when a show goes into a final season, because it's like, oh no, we know this is the final season, rather than like, oh, we're not getting picked up again, or you know, it's like, oh, we did this new season, we're not getting picked up, the show's got canceled, it's off on a, whatever the case may be. I'm happy to see, because I feel like this is also like a very nice way to kind of, I feel like with the way the story has going, that this is a very nice progression to like wrap everything up, you know. So like I said, I'm still sad to see the show ending, but hey, we still got a while. Once again, if you like, when I said this like about 2 years ago when I did the one about season 3, but it's like, if you know people, get people to watch this show. It's so good, because I mean, people have no excuse at this point in time. It's like we're going into the final season. I don't know if it's on Netflix now, but as soon as it's going to be, like season 4 is going to be up there. You can binge on all 4 seasons soon enough, you know. Stuff on CW usually gets on Netflix pretty quickly. So I mean, it's such a fantastic show. It has been an amazing ride. I gush about the show so much because it's so good. It's, in my opinion, the best zombie show you will find, because it does such unique things with zombieism, which isn't shit on other zombie shows, but it's just like this show does so many fantastic things. I'm happy yet sad to see it go, but I'm so excited, you know, even with those mixed feelings, so excited to see how it all plays out. Really, that's all I want to talk about in this video. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.